seen from him as he kind of progresses back to the max that we know he can be?
He, Max, you love his aggressiveness, but sometimes he can be over aggressive. In term, maybe fouling where he didn't need to, or trying to dunk from the 3-point line. So listen, I think that's part of catching your rhythm too, right? Like if you've been out for so long, it's just getting your. And I thought he hit the perfect kind of perfect note in terms of being aggressive, but still composed and made great decisions, took open shots. So I hope that's that bodes well for us and for him. Again, and it's kind of like, when you're out that long, this is kind of 3, 4, 5 games in, seems like you start to get your rhythm. So that's good news for us.
When this team is completely whole and he's back to him, like, what does that best version of Max fitting into your system look like?
Yeah, well, first is the leadership. So, Max, he's a hardcore leader. Like, he's going to tell it like it is. He's going to he's got that bravado. He's forceful with his leadership, and that's a little different from what we have in the locker room, right? And even for myself, and we it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have him back and have that leadership voice. But what I like about him from an on-court perspective is that he fits our style of play, because the guy plays with pace, kind of on both ends, pace and physicality. I thought we had that. I think it was him that hit that corner three. We got that one of the advanced pass to the corner three, and man, he gets down the court so quick. And again, he's a perfect system fit.
Chris.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey, Chris.
So much was made of last night's game and the 2 days off that you had leading up to it in the preparation, and it was an awesome game. Competitive, intense. How do you get yourself right in 24 hours after an emotional win like that?
This is going to be a challenge for all of us, I think. It's your kind of perfect trap game after a big win. But I was thinking about that last night. The lead up, and it's like, I don't think you guys are going to believe us, like, because before the game, it's just another game, and 82 games, and and it was bigger. I think the intensity was higher. I know our intensity metrics that we get from a physical standpoint was our 3rd highest game, Oklahoma City's 4th highest game. So it was really a high level match from a mental standpoint, but also from a physical standpoint. So we had to expend a lot of energy. And now you come and you play Toronto, who they're not going to back off, right? Like they're a team, they're an aggressive team. They turn you over, they beat you on the glass and in transition. So but we've handled these games amazingly well over the season. But this one, this one's a bit concerning in when you put it in those terms.
You guys are 32-4, but you're 25-1 with Dean Wade in your lineup in any capacity. Why are you such a great basketball team with him?
Is it what I see is plus 16 net rating, and he's those analytics matter, right? When he's on the court, we're good. Elite defender, doesn't turn it over, so you win the possession game with him, and then now he's starting to shoot, kind of shoot lights out. I don't know what it is over the last 10, like really, really high level. And he's 6'9.5", right? He's big. Invaluable player. I think everybody's starting to understand how good he is and what he means. He's like Mr. Efficiency. What do they call him? You know what they call him in the locker room, don't you? Well, you'll have to find out what they call him.
I would love to find out.
I'm not going to give it away.
Mike. Kenny, what's the luxury of having, I think you have 8 guys shooting 38% from the floor, of your volume of 3-point shooters, and I think that there's 2 more guys who aren't, and it's Strus and Merrill, so just having that luxury of that shooting right across your lineup.
Yeah, when we first got this team together, and we have a new staff too, right? And so you're watching them in open gym and even begin a training camp. But I think the feedback from all the coaches is like, man, the skill level is like, skill levels through the roof, all right? And that's shooting. A lot of that shooting. Like, man, these guys shoot the ball. We've all been, our whole staff has been on the other teams where you just don't have that skill level across the board. You have a few guys, and then you got to kind of mix and match with the others. But to have the quantity of skill level and shooting that we have, I think it's unique.
Savannah.
Coach, you've been part of obviously winning programs, the Golden State Warriors. When it comes to just championship caliber teams, what is the same thread that kind of emerges during the regular season that you could, have that confidence in your roster to potentially go all the way?
Yeah, you feel kind of the the momentum like building, right? And you feel the chemistry building. I know Steve Kerr. He kind of compares us to when he got the job in Golden State, and we've talked a lot about what that looked like in the beginning, and how they kind of, took it to 4 championships, and it's nice that what he said to me. You guys are you've had some playoff success, but your group is really hungry. He goes, I can see that, right? So they've had some success in the playoffs, but it looks like he goes, that reminds me of like the Warriors when Steve first got the job, and that's so true. These guys, they keep saying we haven't done anything, which means they're hungry for more. So that's kind of the similarities I see. I know that's a huge step, right, where they went, but the beginning of this looks pretty good so far.
Eric.
Kenny, back on opening night, if you want to remember that, you were asked about Evan and
Yeah.
his role in your system. You said, let's not overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
His foundation is defense. We'll figure it out as we go along. We're almost halfway through the season. What have you figured out about him and what he's doing?
Well, he kind of proved me right, because defensive player of the month last month. So he's kept his defensive identity, but I think there is an expand piece that we've encouraged him to get to, and you saw last night. Probably the key possession of the game. We went to him to that ISO at the top of the key, and yeah, it just keeps expanding. And I just keep saying, I don't think we've completely unlocked them. Like I'm still personally like a little frustrated because I know there's a lot more, and you have this immense talent, and you're, do we put them in more inverted pick and rolls? Is it more ISO? Should we have them being, pick and pop with them more? So we shooting 6 to 8 threes. So we're still trying to figure them out. But the talent is it's immense. I don't even think the league realizes that hey, there's more in there. I think we can get more, and I think I can do a better job of using him even better.
Nate.
Hey Kenny, obviously you've known Jared Allen for a long time. Just in terms of his personality and the chemistry that you talk about in the locker room, with him specifically, how important is he to making that all work?
Jared's a different cat, different, ethical basketball. He termed that phrase. So I asked him what that meant, and what did he say? Oh, he said farm raised. What does that mean? Organic, farm raised, something like that. You have to ask him what what he said. So he's just different. And it's funny, Jared's the rap on him coming out of college was he didn't love basketball. That scared some people away, and that's couldn't be farther from the truth. I think he's just got a lot of other interests, right? He's a intellectual guy, smart guy, reads a ton, plays all the video games, and I don't think you should underestimate his toughness and grit, and I think that's growing, right? I think in Brooklyn he was still physically underwhelming, but now that his physical his strength is caught up to his agility and athleticism, I think you're starting to see him in his prime. And last night was a great case with Hartenstein's a tough matchup, and Oklahoma City's a tough matchup physically, and I thought he kind of dominated the paint. So that speaks really kind of highly of where he was and where he is now. I don't want to remind him of that. I think there was a game in Brooklyn where I think Dwight Howard had 30 and 30 on him. I could please go check it. And I was like, man, like, is this guy ever going to be able to, physically match up with elite centers in this league? Now I might be exaggerating that because I remember the film session after that, him just getting kind of thrown around, and he's kind of flipped it where he's a dominating presence.
I'm not, I don't mean to suggest that like he would be the only guy with like a low ego or like selflessness to him, but how valuable is it that he is that way?
It's super valuable because if you think about it, with our Evan, Darius, Donovan get a lot of the attention. He wants none of it, and he just wants to push. I keep seeing his quotes on Evan, like Evan was great. Evan was great. If there was a, we're human, right? Like, how's this? I'm pretty good too, right? But he keeps pushing the attention that way, and he doesn't want any of it coming his way. I don't know. I've been in the NBA a long time. That's not normal.
Sam.
Kenny, throughout the first portion of the season, you were being asked, what are you learning about this team? What are you learning about your guys? As we approach the halfway point, is there anything else still to learn about this team?
Yeah, I think we just went through a feedback session with our staff. Just what we learned from last night, and I think it's getting that continual feedback, especially from the when you play the elite teams in this league. What can we do better? What did we learn about ourselves tonight? And we had funny. The feedback was more about our mental growth and the locker room's growth and the confidence and getting over that hump where you can win these games. It was more about that, what our staff was talking about, than tactical. So that I thought that was interesting. So the kind of the mental growth of the team, that seemed to be like, and we got guys that were, coaches that were here from last year and years past. So it was great to have that perspective.
You mentioned earlier your time in Golden State and working with Steve. That mental aspect of the game, more than the X's and O's, was that a big part of the development while you were with Golden State? Big
part of it. What to communicate to the players, when to communicate it, and how to communicate it. It's really an art. You have to experience. He's the master, still is the master at it. So, I was in so many, whether it was a film session or outside the court session, him engaging with his best players, or him in the most tense moments. That's maybe the area where I learned the most. His ability, his emotional control during those times. And I felt like our huddle and our approach last night in a big game across the board, we had that. We kind of had it. We had that emotional control, even when things weren't going right. We just kind of had that nice balance.